Hi everyone, this is Trifina Wade, the writer of WeDon'tSitOnCouches.com. I don't usually come to you guys this way, but I wanted to just chat a little bit in light of the recent events that have been happening in the U.S., specifically the shooting deaths of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile, and then the subsequent shooting of several police officers in Dallas, Texas. And I wanted to address a few things. The first thing I want to talk about and address a little bit is the whole Black Lives Matter phrase. I think a lot of times people get a little confused or offended by the phrase. And I just wanted to explain a little bit about what it means. I think that when people hear those words, Black Lives Matter, sometimes they think it means only Black Lives Matter or Black Lives Matter more. And I just want to clarify that no one is saying that. When we say the phrase Black Lives Matter, we're simply calling attention to the fact that in this country, in the United States of America, Black lives do not receive the same fair treatment that other people of European descent receive. In these specific cases, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, if you're in America or American, I'm sure you know about it. If you're not, maybe you do, maybe you don't. I would encourage you to read up on the situation. But just in the case of these two situations, you had two men who were doing nothing wrong, and they ended up losing their lives at the hand of police. Being shot in cold blood in the street. One guy was laying in the street with two cops on top of him. The other one was in the car attempting to present his license and registration, and a police officer killed him with a gun. And so this is something that happens way too much in this country. And disproportionately, it happens to African American males specifically. It has happened to children and women as well. But a lot of the news stories that we hear about have men as the victims of these kinds of deaths at the hands of police. And so when people are saying Black Lives Matter, we are simply calling attention to the fact that in this country, Black lives do not receive the same treatment. We don't receive always the fair trial that we're supposed to get. A lot of times, we're just shot on sight. And so people want to respond to that phrase, Black Lives Matter, with the phrase, all lives matter. And the problem with that response is it is not a response that is signaling care or concern for all people. It is a response that is, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a disrespectful kind of retort that says, why are you only talking about Black lives when all lives matter? Well, yes, we know that all lives matter. But in this moment, we are dealing with the fact that we have a lot of Black lives that are not mattering. We have a lot of Black lives that are being cut short because of trigger-happy police, sometimes or probably always afraid and feeling like they want to take the law into their own hands and knowing that they probably will not receive any sort of punishment. So it's just to give you a little perspective. It's like going to maybe a breast cancer rally or fundraiser and saying, well, what about prostate cancer? Well, what about lung cancer? Well, yes, prostate cancer, lung cancers, those issues are important too. And we want to do research and raise funds for those issues as well. But at this moment, in time, we're focusing on breast cancer. And it's the same with the Black Lives Matter phrase. Yes, all lives matter. We care about all people. But in this moment, we're focusing on Black lives. And quite frankly, you can't even say the phrase all lives matter and know that it has any truth if Black lives aren't mattering. So I just want to clear that up because I think people hear that phrase and they get offended, and I'm not sure why, but maybe it's because they're not understanding, taking the time to understand what it really means. That's what it means. Yes, we believe that all lives matter, but in this moment we are focusing on Black lives. So that's one thing. The other thing is that if you follow this blog, if you read any of my posts, you know I'm a travel blogger. I talk about travel and adventure. And the past week I've had a lot of difficulty kind of trying to figure out how to continue as a travel blogger when so much craziness is happening in the world. There's so much death, there's so much destruction, there's so much anger and hatred towards people of all races, of all genders, of all, religious backgrounds. And so I've had a hard time kind of justifying continuing as a travel blogger, sharing, a trip to France or, a sailing lesson that I took or whatever fun thing that I just did or fun trip that I just took. In my mind, I'm thinking, what in the world does that matter when people are dying? And so I've had to really step back and do some soul searching and figure out if I'm even going to continue on this path. But one thing that I was reminded of this morning and yesterday a little bit is that we all have a purpose. We all have a part to play in this world, in making this world a better place. Some people are meant to be politicians to change policy in the world. Some people are meant to be doctors to treat people who are ill or to do research on new medicines and try to find cures for diseases. Some people are entertainers to bring a little lightness, a little lightheartedness to people when they might be going through a horrible situation. And I feel like part of my purpose is to continue to show people that the world is beautiful. And I know that there's a lot of ugliness and a lot of hatred and a lot of sadness, but I truly, truly, truly believe that there is still a lot of beauty in this world. And I feel like if people can just see it and taste it and touch it and have a small glimpse of it or have an experience with it, I think that helps bring a little bit of healing. I think when you go to another country and you see another culture and you learn a little bit of another language and you see how another group of people live, I think that brings some sort of healing. And that lets us know that essentially we're all the same. We might speak a different language, we might be a different color, we might grow up in a different country or, with a different religion or a different belief system or whatever it is. But essentially, we're all the same. We all want the same things. And God created us all in His image. That's truly what I believe. God created us all in His image. And if we could just catch a glimpse of familiarity in a foreign place, then that might help us understand each other a little bit more. That might help us, be a little bit more forgiving, show a little bit more grace. I don't think that this is a fight that we can afford to run away from. I think that everybody has a part to play in healing this world, in bringing healing to this world. I think everybody has a part to play. And I think if we get scared and run away from things that are uncomfortable, that doesn't mean that the uncomfortable thing is going away. Eventually, you're still going to have to deal with it. And like I said, everybody has a part to play. Everybody can stand up and say something. I've had a lot of conversations this week with a lot of people of different backgrounds, and some people just don't get it. Some people just don't get it. It doesn't matter how many times I explain what Black Lives Matter means. It doesn't matter how many times I try to share with someone the experience of Black people in America. Some people just don't get it. But I have to keep having the conversations, even though they're hard, even though they're uncomfortable, because I guarantee you for every one person who doesn't get it or refuses to get it, there's going to be somebody who is willing to embrace the fact that maybe something that they have believed their whole life might not necessarily be true, or that there might be another side to the story or the situation. And so I think it's important for all of us to engage in this fight, because it's not going to go away. Just because you get off social media, just because you delete somebody or block somebody, just because you turn off the news, that doesn't mean the problem's going away. And eventually, you're going to have to deal with it. And the longer you avoid it, quite honestly, the harder it's going to be. So I think it's something that we can all do. There's something that we can all do. Like I said, we all have a purpose. There's a purpose for all of us to be here. And I think we all can help to bring healing to the world. And yes, I believe that sharing travel and sharing, experiences in different countries and experiences with different cultures, I think that can help. And so I'm going to continue to travel safely, of course, and I would encourage all of you to do the same. I'm going to continue to spread the message that fear is stupid. I'm going to continue to spread that message. I don't want to live in fear, and I don't want anyone else to live in fear, especially when it comes to these kinds of things, because fear is rearing its ugly head, and people are reacting and responding to situations out of fear, and I don't think that will ever, ever, ever bring a positive result. So that's all I have to share. I wanted to come to you all this way because it's a new way of talking to everyone rather than just writing words on the blog. I definitely wanted to do kind of like a face-to-face thing for you guys to see my face and hear my voice and hear my heart. So thank you so much for watching and listening, and thank you so much for reading and following the blog, and you will hear from me again soon. All right? So until next time, remember, fear is stupid. It's on the shirt. It must be true, right? I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.